So, welcome to Living a Triggered Life podcast, live at Roxbury Film Festival at the MFA. I'm thinking maybe you should sit in the middle, but we'll switch in a second. Okay. I'm Roxann Mascoll with
Keith Mascoll.
And we are so glad to be here with Roxbury Film Festival and with our dear friend Tonia Magras, who is the filmmaker for Do You Remember Me? Also, and don't mind me, I always write notes down. I'm a clinician, so I tend to write notes all the time. So one thing I want to say is that as a part of the podcast that we do, Keith and I, is the Trigger Project, and that's only one element. The other element is Triggered Life, which really is used as a tool to help change how mental health professionals learn how to work with Black boys, men, and trauma. And the reason why that's the main reason why we're here, but the reason why I'm saying this is because this whole block of movies is using art as a way to communicate, to create conversation, to educate, to bring awareness to other people. And that's what Triggered Life does. So you can see how putting us all together is actually very ideal for us. And so what I wanted to start with is just talk a little bit about why using art to tell this story or this narrative or to express something. Like, just give us an idea of where this is coming from for you.
Well, this last film, when the two women went to the rocks and started just screaming, I think that that's what art does for me. It's a way for me to scream. And, it is a way to let things out that, and I'm fortunate, along with my husband Greg, who is the co-filmmaker on this. Hi, Greg. I think that what we have learned is that, part of our ministry really is in the creative space. And we have told stories that have inspired and impacted and informed people. And I think that what we continue to do, what we want to continue to do, is to be able to use our art to scream. Yeah.
Beautiful. So leading up to screaming, I forgot to ground it. So we're gonna take a pause. We're gonna take a pause on the road here, but you brought up screaming, and it reminded me that we just watched something that was really impactful to our bodies. Not just taking in the visuals, but our bodies process what we just experienced. And so in light of that, we just want to take a pause on screaming, right? Because that's what happens in our bodies, even if we don't identify, we don't have a word for it. You just sort of use the right word for it. And that's what people feel, the tension in your body. And so just to take a pause on that, if you don't mind, Keith. Okay. I just want everybody to take a second and just look around the room. And as you are looking, I want you to notice details of the walls, the ceiling. It may have been things that you hadn't actually noticed, because when you walked in, you were just looking for your seat, or you were talking to your friends. And now I just want you to take a second and just listen for whatever you can hear. And I want you to intensely listen, almost as if you can hear the cars outside. And now I just want you to breathe. But I want you to breathe in such a way that your whole body is anchored down to the breath of your body and how you're It doesn't really matter when we did it, right? It still works because that is what our body is asking for. And sometimes we don't listen.
Yeah, let me say something really quickly. My name is Keith Mascoll. So happy to be here. Just a shout out to ROXFILM for putting this blog together. It's just brilliant. Can we get applause for some liberation? I think that's important to acknowledge. And just, I just want to share some thoughts before we get into some of the questions. There was so much of a Caribbean context that were in both blocks. And Greg being a Caribbean boy, there were a couple of different images of Caribbean men in there that we don't always necessarily see. We had one that had some issues, but then we had two that were caring. I don't know if people noticed the hand grab, right? Which was everything. And for Greg's character was watching, right? He asked the question, what can I do for you? He didn't make an assumption. He didn't look to grab her. He involved her in the process of him supporting her. And I think that's invaluable, right? But then we also saw that again with the young man as well. So that's not something that we normally see in film. Finding out parents' stories we don't always necessarily see, right? The breaking of the intergenerational trauma, right? We saw that. Art being the catalyst. And I'll say this to you all. Find the art that you put down and pick it up again. Yeah. That's your first process of liberation and healing. So I just want to pick out a couple of those themes because they were really evident, but also, her process of healing her little child, right? And I think that, even for Tonia, going back over that story, and then also, let's give a round of applause for Tonia. She just graduated. But part of her doing that and working this in as part of her work was healing that part of her life. And so that's something that's just incredibly important as we think about our younger selves, that we do take the time to heal our inner child and our past selves. And so I just wanted to point that out really quickly.
Is filmmaking part of your sort of healing and sort of bringing that liberation and freedom?
I mean, I wish I could sing, because that probably would be a cheaper way of, getting it out. But that's why I leave it to Coriana. Coriana sang the soundtrack to the film, so thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that, as children, we're always hearing stories, right? And then we get a little bit aside ourselves and we start telling stories, right? And my granddaughter's a perfect example of that. She can create a movie on her own with no one involved, and it's just it's all of the energy, and it has to go somewhere. Right. So I think my mom is a creative, I should say. And it was always just something about me that, it started off writing. I wrote poetry, and then when I started to learn how to put a camera and a microphone somewhere, and it just kind of bloomed from there. But yeah, it's in me. This is what God ordained me to do. Yeah.
No, but I think that comes off the screen too. Like the understanding in both films, what you said about liberation, right, and that freedom, and great examples of what are the elements that help with the healing part of the story. Recovery really is, right? You're sitting up here in recovery, right, and it's important to sort of acknowledge that out loud, and you're sharing that with us. Yeah. What a gift.
Yeah, I mean, when I told Greg I wanted to do this, it was kind of like, hey, I think I want to tell my story, and without even hesitating or question, he was like, what do you need? And equipment started showing up, and things started coming up, and I have to give a shout out to Mascoll who was my professor. She's not my friend, but it was in her class the fall of 2022 where I had the freedom to just open up. And, the assignment was a hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a writing assignment to write a hero's journey. I'm like, I am my hero.
Yes.
So that's where it all started. And, so thanks. Thanks, Doc.
Wow, and so, I mean, it's so perfect, like I said, with how Roxann put this together, because you talk about that hero, the hooded hero, right? Being the mom, but you're also that hooded hero as well. And, the other, I keep going back to this Caribbean context, because there was, especially in the second film, it was just so rooted in tradition and breaking tradition, and, having, how often does, for any family, any generation, and it doesn't matter how you identify or culturally, but when the mother tells the daughter the story, not just for her, but for her daughter's liberation, right? And for the next generation, right? So that scream was possibly even for the intergenerational trauma that was before them and the ancestors before them releasing that, but that was also for the future. And that's incredibly important, and that's what you were doing as well.
It's a lot of the things that you don't have to explain, right?
Right.
And I've had conversations with my daughter who had to leave early, unfortunately, and my grandmother and my mother have had conversations. It's just a lot of the stuff that you don't have to explain. Like, why was the cooking healing? Well, that's because that's what we do.
Right.
That's what we do. I mean, my husband is a beast in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, that's where we go to, right?
Yeah.
And in the water, that was the shot of the woman in the water, because water is healing, right? I love washing dishes just to have my hands in water. But it is so. This whole process is so bigger than me, and April, are you here? Love you. April, who plays the older me in the film. When I saw her, and when she came and she did the casting, the callbacks for the casting call, and Greg and I looked at each other and we were like, that's you. And then when I got to know you, it's like, it's the thing that you want to partner with when you're creating films and you're actors, but it's like the wrong stuff that we're partnering with, but we had to tell it, and girl, just girl, I mean, wait, is that me on my back? No, because I'm downstairs looking at camera shots, but it's important, and I can only imagine that the filmmaker for Village Keeper had to have that same connection, because her story is it's so textured in so many different things, right. And the mother has just so many layers, and so many things to keep track of and everything. So, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, storytelling, and you have the right, and you all know this, you have the right person at the right time in the right place, and
That's
it's
right.
like, yes, you know, yes.
It's all about the synergy.
It's all about.
It's all about
Well,
the synergy.
actually, I was gonna say is a little bit more something that you said before. When you actually tell yourself your story, when you actually sort of embody and have a moment to sort of tell yourself what happened,
Yeah.
then it's what happens is your body's in alignment,
Yeah.
right? Because now you're sort of acknowledging what happened to you, and that alignment creates alignment outside of you.
Which is rooted in trust.
That's right. And this becomes collective healing.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw in both films,
Right.
was different ways to collectively heal, which for me is ancestral,
Yes.
right? That's you know, and the water and the food, all the textures that you're talking about in your film and the other film is really how we sort of, that adaptive type of coping, right? Water, you can feel it, you can taste it, that aligns the body, regulates the body, similar to what we did in the grounded. And so you're sort of noticing that, but these are all the elements across the board that help us.
Yeah.
And I say that because we're living in a world where we're constantly feeling activated, right? And it's about every 30 seconds of the day for me that I have to, woosah, what am I gonna do right now,
Right.
right?
Yeah. No, are you gonna cite me?
No,
Yes.
I'm not.
Okay, all right, so to make sure that we're gonna, when you start quoting me and stuff, you know you gotta cite me.
I did
Okay.
cite you, I told everyone that you said it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I also have to say, only because they're here, and I have to just shout out, you know, some of the other people who helped me. Anya, who's our director of photography for this listen, if you're a filmmaker out there and you need a DP who gets it, please, I will give you her phone number, her email address, her Instagram, or whatever. And this is a young woman who, and we just graduated together, okay? But we have like a 38-year difference, right? But her gentleness with it, her ability to just take it, and this woman had to, like, she was a contortion, like she was in like these just to get some of the shots. I felt so bad for her, but you did it because you understood, and I trusted you. And that's such a huge part to this. And Ollie's here too, Oliver Eason, who was one of the lighting directors on there. It's about trust, you know, and you know, Greg and I spent a lot of time. This film, by the way, Do You Remember Me, was completely crewed by students at Fitchburg State University. If you were thinking there wasn't one quote-unquote professional, this was the most professional crew I ever worked with, first of all.
Dedicated.
They understood the assignment.
Right.
That.
That part.
They understood the assignment.
Right.
And I can talk forever about them, but you know, Fitchburg State, it's talk about a film school. If you know somebody who needs to go, whatever, Fitchburg State.
All right, well, I'm getting the sign that we're just about out of time. We gotta wrap up. Anything else that either of you want to say quickly to wrap us up?
I just want to thank you all who are here, and thank you for supporting all the films at ROXFILM. This is Hull Bay's third film, and our third time being at the Roxbury International Film Festival. And I just thank you so much. Allison, Lisa, this is incredible to us. We will never ever take this for granted. We will be back here next year with another film. So we just want to thank you and everybody, all of the volunteers and everyone for ROXFILM. Just thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Yeah, thank you. And Roxann and I will be back actually for a full hour this Tuesday over at Mass Arca. Come and hang with us. We'll get a little. We're gonna get to talk to John Luale Decoze, a guy that we don't know well at all. But it's another mental health block, and so come rock with us. Thank you to ROXFILM. Thank you to you, Tonia. Keep telling your story. And I'll leave you all with this. Remember, you're no longer surviving, you're thriving, and you're very mad.